Hey everybody, Seth V here for the Knife Center, and Thomas, what time is it?
New knives time.
It's new knives time. Let's take a look. First up, we have some new exclusives to share, starting with the latest version of the CJRB Pyrite. This is in our kind of signature configuration with the titanium bolsters, titanium sculpted pocket clip, and RPM 9 blade steel. In this case, it's stone washed with plain thumb studs. And what really sets this version apart is the burlap micarta scales. Nice hard-working look, adds a little bit of extra grip without giving you that aggressive texture. And it's the same great pyrite that has been such a hit. Price on these is going to be $72.99, right in line with the other exclusive variants we've done. And yeah, if you haven't checked out a pyrite yet, this is a good chance to do that. It is really just EDC perfection. With CJRB's excellent button lock, you get that safe, free-flowing action, easy to flick with the reverse flick or your thumb. One little Easter egg I'll let you guys in on with this knife is even though it's only set up for right-handed carry out of the box, the liners on this on these exclusive variants are tapped for left-handed carry. So there's holes in there with threads. So should you really want to carry left-handed, you could drill some holes through this scale, flip the clip, and put it that way. Yeah, any lefties out there who really feel left out, feel free to mod your knives. We did leave the holes in there, but it's as is, it comes set up for right-handed carry. These feature 3.1 inches of RPM 9 blade steel, Artisan Cutlery's proprietary powder metallurgy budget steel. It delivers a great combination of stainlessness, edge retention, and toughness for the price point. I would say it's a noticeable step up from your kind of 8CR 420 level types of steels. In my experience, it kind of even performs on par with something like VG10, which is to say you're getting a lot of value out of this relatively affordable knife. The ergonomics are pretty neutral. There's enough handle space there for me to get a full 4-fingered grip. This finger choil up here is a little small for a gorilla grip, even for me, but plenty enough for a fingertip, so those pinch grips work really great. It's just a very deft drop point blade, not too thick on the blade stock, exactly what you want in an EDC, and looking better than ever thanks to these cool new burlap scales. One more thing before we move on, these are dropping today, so they should be available as of this video. If it's anything like our other Pyrite exclusives, they will sell fast, so if this one catches your eye, I say go for it. Speaking of CJRB exclusives that sold fast, this is a restock of our exclusive Ekko. The first time these came around, they went so fast, we hardly even got a chance to promote them, but they're back now, so you guys have another chance to pick one up.
And they're gone.
And I hope they're not gone, but it's a great knife, and I can see why it sold so fast. In fact, honestly, I think this is both my favorite CJRB design and maybe even my favorite Ray Laconico design. It is just so simple, so striking. It feels great in the hand. Compared to the Pyrite, this could be fun. It's a little bit bigger, just a few millimeters longer overall, but I think it feels like a more substantial knife. You know, we've got the whole handle dedicated to grip area instead of the finger choil split, so I feel like I have a little more room to move around. And then the way that the spine of the handle sort of drops down just fits the palm perfectly. Yeah, I love the way this thing feels. I love the way it operates with that great button lock again. Got the front flipper, which if you're not into front flippers, you could pretty safely ignore and just use the hole to open. And the blade shape is pretty unique too. We got a continuously curved belly, bit of a sheep's foot thing going on. Should be good slicer, but with some good power to that kind of subtle belly that'll keep you rolling through your slices. Just a great design, and these are going fast, so I would recommend picking one up Price on these is $72.95. And again, we've got the KnifeCenter exclusive features here: titanium bolster, titanium sculpted pocket clip, and RPM 9 powder metallurgy steel. These came out excellent, and they are back in stock for now. Check them out. The last KnifeCenter exclusive today is this new Luna Ekko from Real Steel. If you saw David and my video on our whole exclusives program, you would have seen this already. But it is new in stock. These go for $74.95, and they feature fat carbon, dark matter gold fat carbon to be specific. Goes really nicely with this gold treated frame lock side, gold hardware. We got the deep carry pocket clip to match. Just a classy, maybe slightly luxurious looking EDC knife with all the gold there. We've done a lot of exclusives on the Luna because honestly, it's just a staff favorite. The size is really good if you're looking for a sub 3-inch blade. This comes in at 2.76. It's well under mini blade length restrictions, but because of the design, the kind of extra length of jimping that you get here right in front of the edge, the handle feels very, very accommodating. I have no problem, again, getting a 4-finger grip. I know David can even get a 4-finger grip if he kind of chokes up with his slightly larger than average hands. Blade steel on this is K110, which is essentially sort of a brand name D2. Made in Germany. It's a high quality product that delivers the kind of high edge retention that you expect to get from D2 with hopefully not so much of the drawbacks. Being sort of a very precisely made product, its toughness may be a little better than other generic D2s, but that's kind of neither here nor there. I don't know that toughness is going to be a huge factor in a small EDC knife like this, but K110 is good stuff with a solid reputation for a reason. Thanks to the fat carbon scale, the weight on these is actually a little reduced as well from the all steel versions. Yeah, coming in at just over 2 ounces, this has just enough weight to feel like a solid knife, but it is not heavyweight by any stretch. So the original Lunas came as a slip joint, and when the designer Poltergeist Works retooled everything to make this a locking knife, one of the unique features that he added was this movable thumb stud. So you can see it right there on the blade. You can actually slide it up and down the fuller here to whatever position you feel works best. Straight out of the box, it's you have to be a little deliberate to really get it to pop open. If this were my knife, I might just move that thumb stud a little bit further down to give myself more leverage on the flick, but I can still get it to happen consistently if I get the setup just right. The detent is nice and crisp, so it really does pop open nicely. Next, we've got the latest in Spyderco's K390 backlocks. We've seen them put this K390 Super Steel on a bunch of the Japan-made backlocks. You know, the Delica, the Endura, the Indela, the Dragonfly, all those knives. And now it's made its way onto one of their newer designs, the LeafJumper. So at a quick glance, this looks a lot like a lot of other Spydercos. You know, we've got the FRN handles, we've got the 4-way reversible pocket clip, we've got a nice leaf-shaped blade and very accommodating handle ergonomics. But there are a number of, I would say, like little design tricks that really elevate this knife. It's a bit of an overlooked choice in Spyderco's lineup, but let me tell you why I at least think this is worth a serious consideration as your next kind of hardworking EDC. The first is that unlike a lot of knives in general, the LeafJumper allows you to get right behind the edge, and not without using a choil either. The handle has been designed with this to kind of stretch your fingers forward, so if you need to, you can just be really close to the heel of that blade there to carve or just be a little more precise in your cuts. The other thing is that for a backlock, they still have managed to make it very safe for one-handed closing. So even though the edge and the handle are really close together, you still have a nice kind of accommodating zone here on the handle to catch that blade on the unsharpened portion before you close it the rest of the way. Very ergonomic to use, just natural to open and close one-handed, and yeah, superb precision out of that design there. The handle being a little wider than some of the other knives in this series, like the Delica, for example, also gives me the kind of extra feeling of power. You know, it fills my hand nicely so that if I really had to push into a cut, I would have a nice broad handle there, kind of soaking up all that force. If you don't like a finger choil, the LeafJumper is a great way to keep your handle super close to the edge and still have that easy one-handed operation. As far as the blade goes, we've got 3 inches of K390, as I said. I won't go too much into it here, but suffice it to say that K390 is truly top tier stuff. It's not a stainless steel, so it will patina, but it is incredibly tough and incredibly high in edge retention. So the experience of owning a K390 blade like this is really great as long as you can live with maybe a little bit of patina, the occasional little rust spots. As long as you're aware of that and know how to take care of your blade with a little oil, just keeping it clean, you're not going to have a problem, and you will be rewarded with a blade that cuts and cuts. So these are available now in plain edge and fully serrated for $137.90. Next up, we're checking out some new Italian knives, the first of which is from MKM, and it is the new liner lock version of the Graciut. Graciut? Forgive me, I know it's a name. I don't think I pronounced that quite accurately, but the knife speaks for itself. We've got 2.9 inches of L-Max blade steel, a very interesting modified Tanto blade shape. In terms of how this knife kind of presents, I would compare it more to a Wharncliffe with a narrow, kind of aggressively thin tip, but we do have that secondary point there in the edge that leads me to call this a Tanto. But whatever you call it, I think it is a highly precise blade with an excellent sort of splinter picking tip.
I'd say we're in reverse Tanto territory here.
What do you think? Whether this is in reverse Tanto territory or not, it's definitely a angular, kind of self-consciously modern design, maybe even like aerospace inspired. Just guessing here, but we do have aluminum handles with some speed holes cut out that allow you to see the blade kind of peeking through even when it's closed. This is a cool feature here. This backspace here kind of rises out of the handle and gives you a lanyard attachment point there. And now with a liner lock and thumb studs, I think this really elevates it into a possible carry for a lot of people, especially for the price of $148.95. With L-Max steel and a really high precision, manufacturing quality, there is a lot to like about this. These versions also come with a deep carry clip. The slip joints came in a little leather slip case, so now this one has a pocket clip. And you've got a nice selection of handle colors. So anodized aluminum allows you to get this brilliant kind of saturated color. These come in blue, black, green, and orange. Even though this design looks very angular, very pointy, in hand, it's pretty comfortable. Really the only thing that's my hand is really noticing is sticking out is the pocket clip, which is the case for virtually every folder out there. But this handle profile has just enough curves and just enough kind of chamfers in it to keep those hard edges from being noticed by your skin, like little things like the crown spine, the crowned back spacer. They make this feel a lot softer than it looks, if you know what I mean. I really like it in a pinch grip too. The tip angles down slightly, so again, I think it's going to cut like a Wharncliffe with just tons of tip precision and yeah, very effective penetrating cuts. Next up, we have the Vale from Viper. This is a Jesper Voxnay's design, and it features 3 inches of Magna Cut blade steel. I feel like it's an EDC powerhouse. If I had to describe why they made this, there's just so much handle contouring going on with this that it gives you a lot of confidence in hand, even though the blade is just 3 inches. Nice drop point shape, nice mix of flat edge with a gentle belly that comes up pretty far to the tip. We've got flipper or thumb stud deployment. Both of them work fantastically. Deep carry pocket clip, nice nested in there so it's not going to catch in your pocket. But honestly, the star of the show with this knife for me is the handles. The shape of them is very sophisticated. A lot of work went into this. These handles are, I think, Bocote? Is that right, Thomas?
Might be.
It's either Bocote or walnut. I can't identify it based on the grain, but I'm thinking Bocote. There are several wood options in stock, starting at $163.95. There's also Micarta and carbon fiber, which I'll show you here because it's purple dark matter fat carbon, and they've gone ahead and anodized all the little titanium appointments to sort of match the colorway of the carbon fiber, which is pretty sweet. So that pocket clip has been made bluish purple, the back spacer to match, and if you've ever had an anodized titanium handle before, you'll know that your finger oils can sometimes change the precise color of the anodization. And here that's happening, but it's kind of like making it blend into the carbon fiber even more. So as you get like fingerprints on this, it looks even more like the carbon fiber. I don't know if that makes any sense, but as I was handling it, I was kind of entertaining myself with that little fact. Yeah, check out these handles. They have a nice little swell here in the middle, and then they taper very nicely right towards that pinch point around the pivot, and then get broad again. So when you wrap your fist around it, it locks in, and then gives you something to pull against when you've got your finger in the choil. This is a pretty generously sized finger choil. I can very comfortably get that gorilla grip in there and feel like I'm totally safe. Your mileage may vary. Huge fingers should use more caution, but that's plenty enough choil for me. So you're gonna pay a little bit of a premium for the fat carbon here. These come in at $193, but the wood and Micarta versions are closer to $160. Last from Viper is a new version of the Turn. This is a limited edition, run of 300 it looks like, because each one appears to have been individually numbered. Yeah, just a cool configuration of the Turn. We've had an exclusive version of this, so it goes without saying that we are big fans of this model. It's dressy, it's comfortable, it's perfectly sized, and it's a very fidget-friendly backlock. Flicks open, no problem. Believe it has ball bearings in the pivot, so the action is super smooth. It just feels luxurious, and it snaps into place with authority. Backlocks are very strong, so it just gives you a feeling of confidence you might not expect from a blade this fancy looking. These come in at $249.95. We've got titanium bolsters and frame, titanium deep carry pocket clip, M390 steel, and I believe this is the only version of the Turn that has this kind of very evenly bead blasted blade finish. It's kind of nice. I can't tell if it's just been really tumbled or really, it's got some reflectivity to it, but it's got a bit of the matte look of a blasted finish. It's pretty nice. All right, it's intermission time. by which I mean that it's the one fixed blade we have to look at today. We'll take a little bit of a fixed blade intermission before getting back to folders. Well, the OTF doesn't fold, but it collapses.
It's certainly not fixed.
Certainly not fixed, yes, exactly. In any case, this is the one fixed blade we have to take a look at today, and it is an exceptional one because it's made by Wright. This is the Bush Baby, a Kephart-esque bushcraft knife with 3 inches of blade. These have 1075 steel with a cool kind of applied patina finish. We've got them in green and brown and red micarta. This is the brown, I assume? Sometimes green micarta and brown micarta can confuse me a little bit. This is looking brown to me today, though. Wright is beloved by bushcrafters because they give them what they want. It is a simple, robust, and I don't want to say an oversized handle, but it's certainly very thick. It's certainly very hand-filling. Even though there's not a lot of ergonomic features here, aside from this single finger notch, because of the size and the shape, it locks into place in your grip, whether you're doing a reverse grip or standard saber grip. Even a pinch grip, I think, is pretty accommodating because of the way the handle tapers here towards the ricasso area. Yeah, just a deft little knife. I mean, for carving or a bushcraft-inspired EDC blade, this would be one of my top choices. LT does truly world-class work, even more so than I think some other fixed blade makers. They put so much handwork into every step of the process. Whether it's shaping the handles or grinding the blades, there is someone behind this knife, a craftsman who truly appreciates and knows knives, and it comes through in the final product. Wright blades are fantastic. This one comes with a drop sheath from JRE Industries, fantastic quality. If you wanted to ignore the drop loop there and carry it like this, I think it'd be a pretty good little EDC belt knife. Got the space for a fire steel. Not much else to say with this one. It is simple on purpose. It works, it will work, it will not stop working. It's just exactly that knife you need when you need a little, I don't want to say little, but when you need that compact companion blade, you'd be hard pressed to find a better one. All right, we are changing gears in a big way because I can't think of anything less bushcrafty than this Microtech Glykon. Although, we do have a centerline point for drilling, we do have a generously sized handle, and we do have a cutting edge. So, I don't know. If somebody can make camp with this, I'd love to see it. But I don't think that's what this was designed for, because this thing is a manufacturing flex, honestly. It might be too early to call it, but this to me feels like Microtech's new flagship OTF. Like, just take a look at this new switch. It is a kind of a three-way switch, I guess. So it's a single piece, and it comes through on either side of the handle and on the top. So however you manage to kind of get your thumb onto that part, you can actuate the knife, whether you're coming at it from this side, or the top. The spring tension that it takes to kind of overcome the switch feels a little lighter than some Microtechs, which some might consider a good thing. It makes it a little easier to use, makes it feel a little smoother. And then the other big departure from the way that Microtech usually builds their OTFs is that this uses just standard Torx screws. It's got a huge, I don't know what that would be, probably like T20 or something Torx here that you can use to swap the pocket clip. And then all the rest are just like T8s or T10s there are so many cool details to admire about this thing. I appreciate that they put the Torx hardware on here. The blade shape is a little extra too. Got 3.75 inches of, in this case, M390 steel with a bayonet grind, and I really like the extra sort of sharpening choil on the top edge of the bayonet there, very stylish. We've got the fuller running down the middle of the blade with the holes in it. We've got the engraved kind of patch there for the Microtech logo. Just, this thing is packed with details. And it comes in at a flagship price too. This is $535. They are manufactured in the USA. And yeah, really showing off just what Microtech can do these days. All right, next we get to some new to us Vosteeds. This is the Corgi, first of all, at $59. We've already had the Corgi in stock, but this is a new colorway of it, I guess. I wanted to put it next to the OTF because usually we think of out the front knives as being very, very symmetrical, but this Vosteed Corgi, like, takes the cake. I mean, it is perfectly symmetrical. If you couldn't see it from the side, you wouldn't even know, like, which side the blade would come out of. So we've got, on this side, a standard flipper, and on the other side, a front flipper. Both of them work great, especially with a little practice. Just under 3 inches of blade, 14C 28N blade steel. Great action, nice drop point, spear point? No, drop point shape. A cool micarta and sort of brass colored look to this one. Vosteed is doing a great job delivering like really stylish designs that still that don't abandon, you know, the fundamentals of knife design. So even though this thing closed is like a monolith, you know, in use, I think it's gonna feel like a I don't know, a very simple, useful little cutter. Just nothing to get in the way here. As long as you can figure out which way around the knife is before you open it, I think this is going to serve you very well as an EDC, especially for 59 bucks. Also just in from Vosteed, new versions of the Raccoon. This is in green micarta. We've also got them now with black micarta, several colors of G10, and even some versions with a black coated blade. The Raccoon has been a big hit for the brand, and I think it's easy to see why. The button lock, of course, is really sweet. It's got a silky smooth action, whew, that just almost self-closes, nice crisp detent, kind of addicting to use, honestly, and the ergonomics are fantastic. If I had to compare this to any other knife, I'd pick something like the Rat 1 or the Rat 2. In fact, this just about splits the difference between the Rat 1 and Rat 2 and comes in right at the middle with 3.3 inches of blade. But it gives me the same kind of vibes. Like you get a comfortable handle, you get a hard-working demeanor. In this case, 14C 28 steel, which is a great choice, great toughness for a hard-working knife. And you've got that sort of spot to choke up on. It's not quite a finger choil exactly, but plenty of space there to get a finger around, and it still feels rather comfortable. But this grip here is super locked in. Yeah. Ambidextrous clip as well, so lefties can enjoy that silky smooth button lock action as well. And all of the new colors of the Raccoon are going to be $59. Okay, next up we have a couple on the table from Kansept knives. And I picked 2 models, but this is just a tiny sample of the number of new knives that just hit the site. In fact, if I remember correctly, there are 50 new items in all from Kansept. So there's a lot to check out. But these were some ones that just stuck out to me. So first up, this is the Main Street, designed by Dirk Pinkerton, now with a crossbar lock. Really cool. I can't remember a crossbar lock design with a perfectly straight kind of Wharncliffe or sheep's foot profile. Correct me if I'm wrong. Off the top of my head, this is the first one I can remember, and I think that's pretty cool. I really like a Wharncliffe blade because whether you're cutting with the heel or the tip, you are using the same kind of angles and cutting geometry. There's no belly for your cuts to slip around on, so it feels powerful all the way through. And there's plenty of handle here to take advantage of that blade. Nice neutral shape, plenty long enough for almost everyone, I would say. The blade is 3.4 inches of 154 cm. It's got a deep carry pocket clip, not reversible, unfortunately, but the crossbar lock is excellent. It's got that kinetic, easy flicking wrist thing you can do easily. I haven't even been practicing with this, and I honestly find that the kinetic open is the way to do it with this one. Thumb studs work great too, but it's just got that crossbar lock character that works so well. So this version with orange G10 comes in at $79. We also have black G10 and a kind of a coral G10 red and black, which comes in at $83. Next up is the Kansept Integra, designed by JK Knives. This is the, shall we say, most outlandish version that we have on the site now, but there are some slightly more subtle colorways going on as well. This is a full titanium frame lock handle with a sculpted pocket clip. The wild colors that you see on here, it's actually not Timascus, it's a heat and electrically applied finish. So it's kind of a random, almost like a lightning strike pattern. I've heard people call this entropic. It's kind of got a bunch of different names, but it's very vivid, and I happen to think it goes beautifully with this Damascus blade. Normally, the wildest looking versions of a knife are the most expensive, but in this case, it's actually not true. This version is $220, or you can upgrade to M390 steel and a plain finished titanium handle for $239. But the design itself is pretty cool. It's simple, but it caught my eye. I like the combination of the kind of sleek and straight handle with this big bellied blade. Got a bit of a chopped tip to bring that tip down slightly. But it's getting almost into trailing point territory just in the way it feels to me. I don't know. I'm doing my best to communicate how these things are in hand as opposed to how they seem in person. And I know that's not a trailing point blade, but it just kind of feels that way to me. The way the handle's so straight and the belly curves like that. I think it would work great for cutting on a cutting board as a slightly larger EDC with 3.6 inches of blade. Plenty of edge for most tasks, and a pretty generous handle as well. Because the titanium clip is sculpted, it's not really sticking into my hand at all noticeably. Yeah, even in a reverse grip, it feels very comfortable. And the action on this is kind of guillotine smooth, super, super smooth. So definitely watch your thumbs while operating this knife. Woo. And last on the table, we have some more new ones from Petrified Fish. I know David covered some of the Petrified Fish stuff we just added a week or two ago.
That was just one fish in the sea, though.
Yeah, there are so many more fish on this table and on the website besides. This one I grabbed because it is a button lock. We haven't seen a button lock from Petrified Fish before. This is the Grow, coming in at $58.99. This version has K110 steel, that brand name D2, just about 3.5 inches of it, and a slightly unique version of the button lock. This is, it's kind of a petite little button there. It's much smaller than the pivot, as you can see. It's recessed into the handle slightly, and it's not hard to operate, but it does feel like very protected. So if you've ever worried about a button lock, being pressed accidentally in your pocket, opening that detent and letting the blade fall out, something like that, I've never seen that happen, but it's in the realm of possibility. This button lock design makes that extremely unlikely. You really have to use your fingertip to get in there to unlock it, but it's not so petite that you can't use it that way, as you can see. As for the design itself, it feels remarkably high-end for its price. Because again, even though this is just under $60, we've got a sculpted titanium pocket clip, excellent fit and finish, everything is perfectly flush. Again, a luxuriously smooth button lock. Small flipper tab, but works with no problem. And even some thumb studs for extra fidget factor. Yeah, Petrified Fish is really kind of resetting the bar when it comes to value. There's just so much here for the price that it is a little surprising, frankly. They're really delivering a whole lot of knife for the money. And last up, we have the Cache. Very simply put, because this is a money clip knife. I haven't seen a proper, true money clip knife in a while, but the way that this pocket clip works, it is definitely more of a money clip. As you can see, there's a lot of space under there for your bills. It's flat and wide to hold them folded compactly. It would definitely work great as a pocket clip because it's nice springy titanium. But this thing is designed to be a money clip first and foremost. Luckily, it was also designed to open and close very easily too. It's got a top flipper that works great. And in fact, if you don't have any cache in here, you can even use the little holes on the clip to anchor your grip while you use that front flipper. Makes it surprisingly easy to use. There's plenty there to grab onto, and it doesn't feel like it's gonna flip out of your hand when you use it because of these holes in the clip. This is a slightly more premium product than we've seen from Petrified Fish before. The price is only $72.99, but we do have titanium frame, titanium clip, and 14C28N steel. The design is by Ty Gauss. I think I'm saying that right. Yeah, I'm surprised at how easy this is to operate. For such a small front flipper, you'd think that you might struggle to use it a little bit, at least I did, but it really is no problem. And the blade is pretty unique. Got a true chisel. Well, it's not chisel ground, but it is truly sharp at the front like a chisel. You could use that front edge for scraping, scoring, cutting. Got 2 points here, the top point there and a secondary kind of a Tanto-esque point. And these nice little cutouts here on the lock bar make it quite easy to unlock, even though there's not a lot of space with how thin this blade stock is. But yeah, if you've been looking for a true money clip knife, there's not a lot of them on the market anymore. This one is pretty sweet and I think could make a cool little backup blade as well. Well, that's all we have for this week's New Knives of the Week video. Remember to check the links in the description for any of the knives you saw here today. And don't forget about our Knife Rewards program that gives up to 5% back on future purchases. Thanks again. I've been Seth V. That's Thomas behind the camera, and we'll see you next time.